Welcome to STYNYUREZ Papers. Today we're going to talk about painting up the Abhorrant Archregent for my Flesh Eater Courts army. The Archregent. When it came out in the Carrion Empire, I just had to have it. Definitely motivated me to paint up this entire army. That and Vince Venturella splitting the box with me. Well, anywho, let's go down to Tabletown. Hello and welcome back. Alright, so Black STYNYLREZ primer is going to be for the base. Actually did this model for a painting competition online. I painted it quickly. It took me about 6 hours total. Alright, time for the base. I put that together, and then olive green. Just going to step onto that. The base is kind of integrated, so I'm going to flip back and forth with the base. So olive green is the primer, and I'm learning how to use this airbrush. I'm just trying to retain the shadows, trying to get the light from more of a 35-degree angle, almost a 40-degree, maybe 35-degree angle. Just trying to get the bits of the light. I don't want it to be completely zenithal. Okay, so next up, some pale yellow. I just really want to get that skin tone just right. I want to hit some highlights right there, and that's how I get it. I'm gonna go zoom through this really quickly. This model is pretty cool. The Abhorrant Archregent is actually more powerful than a Ghoul King, which I did not know. You would think by reading the War Scroll I would know, but I don't actually read the War Scrolls until I'm actually building the model. It just adds to the whole flavor of me painting the model. So yeah, it's actually a lot more powerful than a Ghoul King. So that blew my mind when I saw it. Okay, just getting the bit where the light catches with that pale yellow there. And you can see it already starting to pop up. And I do like that contrast, going straight from black all the way to the olive green mid-tone. CARROBURG Crimson is next. Now, I didn't want the shadows to be black. I wanted them to be red. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tint them. I'm just going to put a lens through it using CITADEL shades. It's a really great way to use shades. It's through an airbrush. So the Abhorrant Archregent. Archregents are Ghoul Kings that have ruled for hundreds of years upon hundreds of those years and have grown terrifyingly powerful. They are supremely mighty vampiric warrior kings that are accustomed to instant obedience around them. They are the boss of my Flesh Eater Court army. This is an HQ choice for me, which, you know, for me, I feel a little guilty about because it painted up so quickly. Now, I went a little sloppily with the CARROBURG Crimson. That was alright. I wanted to get the under chin of the Archregent, so it looks like I went sloppily, but actually, it's going to work out very, very well. Okay, so now I poster tacked everything, so this way I can get the zenithal just right on that. So I'm going to take the poster tack off. This is a good technique to use whenever you want to make sure that you're getting the right highlighting done for your pieces that are in sub-assembly. So try that out for your next miniature. It may come in handy. Oh yeah, this model is something else, I'll tell you that. It comes with this big old pillar that jumps out of the ground, and I wanted to add some things to it. So yeah, I add my custom base to it. I'm going to prime that up, and yeah, AK Interactive, sand, and then I put a little bit of a rolling pin from Green Stuff World. So now Evil Sun Scarlet, and I'm putting some glaze medium with some ink. And I'm going to show you how I do this. Now just little bits right here, just teasing it out, mixing it together, back and forth, playing around. I am actually coming up with a nice filtering system. Yeah, it's called a glaze, so I'm just trying to get that glaze consistency. You can see it right there, working very wet. You see how the paint kind of draws in upon itself? That's where you want it. All right, you're going to wick that off, and then you're going to just push it in there, and we're just going to slowly glaze things up. I'm using multiple coats here because I'm not using the airbrush, so I really wanted to get it there. And it comes out really cool, especially over black. Just glazing it straight up. Wait for it to dry so you don't pull off the previous layer to do it. I'm also going to hit some of the hairs that are throughout the model. Somber gray is next. I'm going to hit that base up. Just trying to hit the columns and getting that mid-tone. I want some of that black to show through. You want some of that black to show through, so this way it's not just painted one color, it has a transitional color. It's going all the way to black. That makes for a great contrast. You don't want to leave that black in there. That's why I always prime my minis in black, because I want to leave the shadows there as dark as I possibly can. And it's super simple to do, just to get those gradients. Sometimes some of these gradients happen by accident. I just go for it and it just happens. Heavy blue gray is next, and that is the highlight. I want to do the highlight for them, so I'm just hitting just the areas where I think lights will catch, although on the other side of something light wouldn't catch there. So it's always the rule of cool. Whatever looks cool for you, you go for it. Alrighty, now for some red-brown STYNYLREZ primer, and this is where I do the dirt. I like red-brown for the dirt right there. I do it for all my Flesh Eater Quartz army. So yeah, it's the same style of base. I kind of like it just incorporated. Brown 2 is next, and I'm just going to put a glaze. Watercolors are excellent for glazes. You water them down to infinity and they act like an awesome filter. It kind of ties everything together. You're going to see how wet everything becomes, but it has just that little tinge of brown to it that makes it like dirt creeping up. I mean, it really gives it a great effect, and it is super easy to do. Anybody can do it, really. Just throw some in there. Really great stuff. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tuft in there. This is from WWS Scenics, but you can use tufts from anywhere. I've seen a lot of different tufts that I want to try, so I'm going to try to use all these tufts up as much as possible and see where it gets me. CARROBURG Crimson is next. I'm going to ATHONIAN CAMOSHADE, that is, and I always paint my tufts. You always paint your tufts because you want to integrate them into the base. You don't want them to see like out of place. So using the colors that you're actually going to use on the model, it definitely helps it tie into the base. Okay, black STYNYLREZ primer. This is usually done at the end, and I like using primer for this because this is a self-leveling primer, so it actually comes out really even after I paint it up, and it looks really, really great. Okay, next up, Evil Sunz Scarlet. I wanted to test my ability with the Infinity, Harbor and Steinbeck Infinity small little needle, so I wanted to make sure that I had the skill and the ability to use it. So I'm just trying out that needle right there, and I'll tell you, it does an awesome job of keeping the paint exactly where you want to, even that little itty bitty bit right there. Awesome job, the Harbor and Steinbeck. I totally recommend that. Next off, I want to clean my palette. My palette is usually very wet, and the paint gets all over the place. So sometimes I just come in and sop some of that stuff up. There you go. I'm going to use some Model Color Black right here, and just adding it to the base with some glaze medium. I just wanted to show you what I do when I glaze. A little bit of water there as well, and I'm going to go back and forth, just teasing things out. You're going to see that right there. And that's how I put glazes in. And that's how I make glazes on the wet palette. So try it out for yourself and try to make that glaze. Now I take it straight from there. Usually wick some of that off and then just go through and test to see how liquidy everything is. And I just want to bring in some of that blackness to the corners of the wings, the leathery kind of wings right there, so this way I could just match my army where it goes from black all the way up to a bright type of red for all the wings. So I really wanted to go there. There it is. Couldn't be easier. It's very forgiving when you're working with these things. When you're working with glazes, you just slowly bring up the color and you're going to see it fade right there. Next up, I'm being a manicurist, and I am painting bone white on the fingertips itself. It's not going to stay bone white. I'm going to do some more things with it. And the toenails too. It's a mani-pedi time for the Flesh Eater Quartz. That's right, mani-pedi time. It is on like a Donkey Kong. Alright, anywho. While I'm painting bone right here, I just wanted to tell you that Abhorrant Archregent has a movement of 7 wounds, a 4-up save, and a bravery of 10. His gory talons, fangs, there's a range of 1, attack 7, 3 up to hit, 3 up to wound, -1 random, 1 damage. So it's pretty hefty with 7 attacks. Alright, olive green is next, and you want to paint the little bits of the Archregents that are stuck onto the base. Yes, there are little bits stuck onto the base. I don't know why they do this, but hey, you know what? They do it, so what the hey. So I just want to integrate it into the regular body so it just doesn't look like really weird and stuff. So I'm going to use the same colors I used for the body just to bring it back up. Bone White is next. That's right, Bone White. Again, doing the petty here, or mani-pedi for my Archregent, because, you know, that's what we do around here. We give mani-pedis to the Flesh Eater courts. I mean, hey, they're knights in shining armor, at least in their own mind. Olive green, we're going to repeat the process and do some olive green on the hand. Some people forget that that little bit is on the top. Do not forget that. I just wanted to point that out. And then again, I'm going to do the Bone White for the mani-pedi. So, one of the abilities that the Abhorrant Archregent has is that in the hero phase, it can heal up to 3 wounds allocated to this model. So it's going to keep on regenerating some of those wounds. Pretty cool. All right, so next up, we're going to do some copper. I'm going to get some copper on the side right there, just to make sure that I want to have different kind of tones in there, not just silver, but I love the copper, and I want to integrate that redness into it. And it actually matches some of the red that are on the wings, and then some verdigris. And I'm going to show you how I do this. And while I apply the verdigris, I just wanted to say that the magic for the Abhorrent Archregent, he has Ferocious Hunger. Ferocious Hunger has a casting value of 6, and if successful, you can pick one friendly Flesh Eater court unit wholly within 24 inches of the caster visible to them. Roll a d3 and add that to the attack characteristic of the melee weapon on that unit until the hero phase. Olive green. Next. There's a little rat on the bottom. A lot of people don't realize that there's a little bit of rat on the bottom, so I'm just going to glaze in some of that olive green primer color into there, just to give it a sickly death glow. Everything in Flesh Eater Court's world is sickly death, in my opinion. Basic skin tone is next. If you want to mix that up with a little bit of red ink from Vallejo, I mean, go for it. You will have a pinkish tail, but I wanted a flesh tone tail, so there you go. Have some fun with this stuff. All right, Mephiston Red is next, and let's get into the lore. The longer that a Ghoul King exists in a state of madness, the more powerful it becomes. Some believe that this is simply the curse of the Usharam replicating belligerently in the vampire's clotted veins. Others have suggested that it is the strength of the Abhorrent's own insanity that bolsters the will and martial might of the creature. As centuries creep by, the Abhorrent becomes ever more corded with iron-hard muscles, its ever thicker and more leathery hide. The vampire's madness deepens, its conviction in its own supremacy reaching such fanatical levels that it leaves traces of crazed visions superimposed on reality. Not only do the Abhorrent's courtiers become ever more dedicated and loyal to their master, but even those who battle the Flesh Eaters begin to perceive flashes of the Abhorrent's delusions, flickering like half-seen flames out of the edges of their vision. In time, the insanity extends beyond the borders of a single kingdom, binding Mordants and other Abhorrents into a united empire. Each Abhorrent Archregent rules over the Ghoul Kings within its domain, where the Ghoul Kings require the aid of his courtiers to rally the madness and command its armies into battles. An Archregent has such far-reaching and indomitable will that it can achieve this feat all by itself. Some amongst Flesh Eaters believe them to be mouthpieces of Usharan, and certain Archregents even claim to have attended the court of the Carrion King. Where Abhorrent Ghoul Kings are ferocious hunters that lead their armies from the fore, Archregents become brooding and reclusive, though it possesses the raw strength to punch through the castle gate or tear an armored knight of chaos into two with its bare talons. It takes a great deal for an Abhorrent Archregent to bestir itself upon action. While it prowls in the innermost sanctums, the running of the empire is left to the petty Ghoul Kings, who maintain the flesh harvest and corrodes as at the head of the body feast, Archregent's honor. Alright, so next up is Bone White Vallejo Game Color. And I'm just going to use the edge of the brush. I'm like edge highlighting here almost. Just to paint that in because I wanted to do it like white. I wanted some more contrast to this miniature. It just seems like it's all green. There's not, it's an HQ's choice, so it should pop on the battlefield. So I'm trying to make it pop. I want to make it gritty, but I also want to make it pop at the same time. So there we go. I'm just using some of that bone white to get some of the tendrils in there. I'll show you how to do it. A lot of people struggle with this, but if you use the tip of the brush just on the side of it, not the actual edge of it, then you'll be able to do it fine. Okay, Mephiston Red is next, and I'm going to get some of the hair that is right there. The hair right there, right? Awesome little model, man. Ferocious as all get out. I think Flesh Eater Quartz really needed to do that. So Vallejo Game Ink is just for the highlights on the tip. I wanted to transition a little bit, go from dark to a brighter red onto the hair and give it some of that variance. And next up, we got to do some of that bone white and just getting the little teethies on the bottom. Just the little teeth. Little teeth. All right, you got to get the little teeth on the bottom right there. You're so cute. This is where you want to use the tip of the brush, okay? You use a nice fine tip brush. Leather from P3 is next, trying to get all the leather bits raw. Just that cord that comes off, and then copper. Yeah, this I'm not using my very good brush for. I'm using a synthetic brush. And yeah, but people don't really realize that there's a spike going right through the Archregent. The dude is mad. He'll just put like spikes right through him. Maybe from a battle. Maybe he left it there. P3 leather is next, trying to get the belt. Love this rich tone leather. I use it for so much. I mean, I'm almost out of it, but I bought another container of it. But I really go through it. Bone white and P3 leather are two of the colors I guess I use the most often. All right, time to set it into its base, and it's a little tricky to get in there, but once it fits pretty snug. There you go. I use glue later, but I don't know, it seemed pretty sturdy. All right, Pale Burnt Metal is next, trying to get the belt buckle. And love assembling the model while it's all together like that, while it's coming together, because it just really gives a great feeling as you're building the model. Or Serapon Sepia now, just touching just here and there. When I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the magic. The Abhorrant Archregent has Ferocious Hunger. Ferocious Hunger has a casting value of 6. Pick one friendly fighter, wholly within 24 inches. Right, D3. Oh, yes, I did that. Command abilities. Summoning Imperial Guard. Yeah, not that Imperial Guard. The other Imperial Guard. You can use this command ability at the end of the movement phase. If you do so, pick one friendly model for that command ability. As been used before, and that model can summon one following unit into battle. One courtier, one unit up to 3 knights, and 20 serfs. So, you know, just feels of monstrosities keep coming at you with this army. All right, so next up, what we're going to do is we're going to paint up a little bit of that black into the nails and trying to give it that vibe that my zombie dragon had when the nails have like the black fungus kind of creeping up there. I figured it would be a nice touch for this model. Okay. And we're going to continue that onto the actual nails itself, just trying to get that venom type of vibe where, you know, the blackness of the blood is seeping through. All right, copper now. I wanted to bring that copper. You got to tie the side copper into this copper. You know, you got to tie it within the miniature. Just because it was on the base, that means I want to use it somewhere else. Really just try to tie it in a bit together. So the spike, the shoulder pad, and then the actual base has that copper. Pale Burnt Metal, yes, I'm doing highlights onto a metallic paint. Yes, makes it look a lot more realistic when you do it that way. But yeah, integrating these colors into your model definitely will make it cohesive and pop. All right, let's set that sucker right in there. Looks really good, but it looks too shiny. Like, it looks brand new. And I know Archregents, yeah, let me tell you, the Flesh Eater Quartz in general, they are sloppy, dirty monkey pigs. That's what I call them anyway. So there it is, and it's way too shiny. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dirty it up, and I'm going to dirty it up by putting some bile right there. I'm putting some bile onto actual miniature, and this is like almost done. Yeah, and I'm airbrushing with that Infinity CR. Yeah, that's right. I'm ending the model with a highlight. That's how I do. And there it is. Let's enjoy the pictures. Well, there it is, all painted up and ready for the new army for the New Year challenge, which I'm almost done with. Well, if you like this video and you'd like to support this channel, why don't you check out the links down in the description for my Amazon affiliates. And if you click onto those links and buy anything, the channel gets a kickback at zero cost to you. It's the best and easiest and cheapest way to support the channel. But if you don't, that's alright. I think it's really cool that you came to hang out today. And if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.